So here's my creek. I really like to, which I've said in other videos, but I just love coming down here and just clearing my mind and sitting in the quiet. And I was just telling my family that I love coming down here, and every time I come down here, I'm reminded of the Bible verse that talks about the Lord's voice sounding like many waters. I love the sound of water. I don't know about you guys. I know quite a few people do, and I don't think that's a coincidence. And it's just beautiful and calming. And anyways, so while we sit here and you can hear, I hope you can hear that running water, I'm going to go ahead and open us in prayer. Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for this time together. Thank you for the truths that you showed me outside today, working in the yard. And Lord, thank you for the sound of water, and thank you for your voice in our lives. Thank you for your direction. I pray that you would just anoint this message with your truths, God, that this would penetrate the hearts of the listeners, the people who need to hear whatever they need to hear through this message. God, I pray that you would communicate that to them. And I know that can be different for every listener. And I thank you for just using me and for speaking to me, Lord. I thank you for all that you're doing in all of our lives. And I just pray that your words would be spoken in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so here is my compost pile, and I'm actually really excited to have this. I have had just a big stack of leaves and stuff in my yard, knowing that it would be a compost pile. Well, it was already a compost pile, but I got this cool bin that my husband built for me. It's really cool, made out of pallets. But I was going to just talk about compost for a minute. So as I was doing this, so today is actually the first day that I put stuff in the bin. And as I was putting this in there, what you do is you do layers. You want layers of brown dead stuff and greens, which would be like vegetables, fruits, eggshells, all kinds of stuff that you put in there from your kitchen, so that it can bring, I don't know all the scientific terms, but it can bring everything together, so it can all help each other break down and cause this great environment. It will all break down, and in the end, it'll be this beautiful and well-fed, nutritious, nutrient-dense soil, soil compost to put in our garden. And so it will go to feed the plants and to nourish them, and then we'll get to eat that stuff and nourish our bodies. So I'm really excited to have this cool thing to put it all in. So what it is the bottom layer is all the browns, in the middle there's all the food, and then the top, you put all the browns back on, keep it wet, not too wet, you don't want it dripping, you don't want to turn it into a sludge. But anyways, all this activity is going on in there. I believe it is aerobic activity because it's also using all the oxygen. The sunshine helps, everything works together to make this perfect stuff that will then go to help bring nutrition to our plants and ultimately to us. So as I was composting this and bringing everything together, I was just, quiet, enjoying nature, like I'm always talking about how it's so great to spend time out in nature. And then as the Lord was just beginning to speak to my heart, speak to my mind, and give me some biblical truths. So I'm actually going to move back down to the creek so you guys can look at that. It's prettier. While I wrote some things down, so I'm actually just going to read those to you. Give me a sec. Okay, so I was just writing a couple notes, and I'm just going to kind of read them to you, and then I can talk about them too as I go, just to sort my thoughts and not be all over the place. Even though I'll probably do that a bit, that's okay. All right, so I was talking about how composting is using all of the fruits, vegetables, eggshells, coffee grounds for their intended purpose, for what the store intended them as they were selling them, intending them to feed us. I guess I would add in there that, God had a higher and had a higher and more stupendous purpose. So I'm not saying that's their only purpose, because God is the one who made all of these things in order to be able to be composted. And, there's natural composting of the leaves that fall down to the trees. So, but what I'm talking about is the intended purpose of the store that sold these things in the first place. And that normally you chop off the ends of your fruits and vegetables and things and you just throw them away, send them to the landfill to rot away, right? They're done with their job, and that's where they're going to spend that until they rot away and crumble and are completely dead. So, but I was saying, when you're composting, that you have a new way to use these things that would have otherwise been tossed out. So I collect all of the quote waste, and then I can use it to make compost, which is rich and helpful, and it's a new way to be used. So I believe this is speaking to somebody who God is either wanting to use in a new or different way, or has been and is wanting to encourage you, that you maybe feel like you've been tossed out, whether just by people, or maybe you feel like God has tossed you out. And I believe that through this he's speaking and saying you are not tossed out, that you just have a different purpose now. So the key point was about being tossed out. So the first point was that I'm going to say people in general. So you've been existing or living, or maybe it's your job, or maybe it's ministry, whatever it is, but you've been this way in one capacity or multiple capacities, but that's over. And now it's time to be used in another capacity, that you are to be used to provide the nutrients to help something else grow. It says maybe now you are to be used of God to help someone or someone else grow, and it's okay that our purpose shifts. So just as this tossed out food, it's not, no one's going to be biting into it and enjoying the taste, and it's already served that purpose, but its purposes are not over. Now it's going, and as it's breaking down and changing form and changing shape, it still has an important job over there in my compost bin. And as I'm turning it and allowing all of these things to work together to make it really crumbly and the way that it's supposed to be, so it can bring nourishment to my garden. Oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. So as it's doing that, so that is a new purpose that it's being used. It's definitely not done, and so that was an important point that was highlighted to me. And the second point that was highlighted to me, number 2, was that, okay, compost, and so this can apply to the same person or people, or this might be a totally different application, but this is what the Lord pointed out to me, so I'm just going to be faithful and share it. So, okay, number 2 is that this stuff is rotting. So this food was enjoyed. Now it's in the decomposing and the rotting process. So it's dying and crumbling away. And the thing that I was reminded of is that this is like our flesh man, right? So we have our spirit, but we also have our flesh. And when I'm talking about our flesh dying, yes, our bodies are dying, because we only have a specific time on this earth, and then our spirit will leave our body, and our body will turn back to the dust of the earth. But I'm not talking about, when I'm saying right now our flesh dying, I'm talking about like as we are called to die to ourselves, and that is us dying to our flesh part of our man. And so as we're dying to ourselves, and as we're learning this and becoming stronger and more disciplined and further along in doing this, we're learning a lot of lessons, we're learning a lot of biblical truths, we're growing a lot. And those lessons and biblical truths that we're learning and the Lord is teaching us as we're dying to that flesh man, putting away the things of the world, those are like the nutrients that will fertilize our faith and help our spirit man grow and get stronger. So as the flesh part of us is dying, the things that are coming from that dying process are helping to actually fertilize and strengthen our spirit. So I also wanted to say, this is not in some weird thing that I'm talking about. I'm saying none of this can be done apart from God's power and his spirit. So all of this is within the bounds and ways that God grows us and teaches us. And so then the nutrients that we gain from all of the lessons and things that we're learning and things that we're walking away from, all of those things the nutrients that we're gaining is also meant to fertilize others around us. So to help fertilize and nourish their faith as we are sharing our stories with other people, that we can help bring spiritual life to others by sharing our testimonies with those around us. We share our trials, our pains, our sicknesses, our triumphs, the ways we've experienced God working in our lives, all kinds of things. I mean, mostly what I'm sharing on this channel, that's why I even have this YouTube channel, is to encourage other people in the Lord and to share my stories and what I'm learning, what I've learned, and help share those with other people and share my testimonies with other people. And so those are the nutrients, and those are, it's cool because it's double. It's helping us, but it's also helping the other people around us. Okay, so I'm gonna pause and I walk over to this plant in my yard. So the other thing that spoke to my heart today was, here's this plant right here. I looked up the name of it, but I don't have it in front of me. So anyways, it's right outside my back door of my house, and spring had sprung and things were starting to come to life in our yard. And then one day, we were just, taken aback. We came out here and saw this. It seemed like it happened overnight, and maybe it did, or maybe we just didn't see it the day before. I don't know, but we came out, and it's wilting right now. So, you're seeing it as the flowers are wilting, but oh man, it was so pretty. It was full of these bright yellow blooms. It almost looked fluorescent in color. It was so beautiful. And, oh man, it was really cool to see it. And that only lasted at most 2 weeks, but I kind of think it might have only lasted a week. But anyways, it was so pretty. I was sending pictures to a couple people, just like, wow, look at this plant that bloomed. It's so beautiful. Anyways, the other day, actually yesterday, we were out working in the yard, and one of my family members we were walking by the plant, and they're like, oh, wow, look at all these, flowers. Like, you can see them on the ground. They're all falling off. Like, oh, that was quick about the plant. Like, it bloomed and it was beautiful and bright and glorious. But it was super short-lived. Like, oh, that's a bummer. Thinking, what? Now what? Like, why was it so short? That's it. And then when you look closer, so these yellow ones are dying. You can see these. But oh man, they were so pretty. This isn't even the color. They were so much brighter and so pretty. Anyways, but then we took a closer look, and I said, yeah, the yellow ones are falling off. Those are wilting and dying, and they were short-lived, but wow, they were so beautiful. But look, now you can see these greens. They actually, you can see, trying to focus here. Anyways, you can see all these little green things sprouting out. So it seems that although the yellow was there, the yellow is going away, and now these green things are sprouting. And I don't know if those will just be the leaves, or if possibly another flower bloom will happen. I'm not sure, because like if you look right here, you can see the yellow is coming out of that little green part, but it looks, I can't focus. Yeah, it looks, I don't know, but there's these other green ones that might just be, I don't know, but it's really cool. So it's like, oh, it's not over. It's just changing. It's shifting, and it's doing something different. So it's like the yellow part had its glorious day, and now it's time for the green part to shine. So anyways, what I had wrote down was, I just put, talking about how we had that comment of like, wow, that was quick, and put, well, maybe that's all that as a person, if we're referring this as a person, well, if you had like a great ministry, or maybe a great time of ministering to people. When I say ministry, I don't necessarily mean that you were like in a church running a ministry in a church. We all minister to people every day of our lives. If we're followers of Christ, we're disciples, we're supposed to be ministering to people. So when I say ministry, I mean anyway, just, ministering to a person that you talk to is what I mean. So if you viewed this plant as a person, and like, maybe you had this great time where you were ministering to people in whatever way that the Lord had called you, and maybe that stopped, or, it wilted, it faded away, and you're thinking, that was quick, maybe it didn't last for a long time. But like, maybe like the Holy Spirit was moving, strongly and brightly, and now it's done. And so maybe you're thinking like, oh, that was it, or did I do something wrong, or maybe I'm of no use anymore. And no, that's not it. It just means I was putting about just like these yellow flowers, that maybe that's all that you were meant to do in that capacity. And it just means that that point of ministry is finished and there's something else for you. So just like these yellow guys look like they're finished, well, there's something coming in behind them, these green ones. They're still part of the same plant. It's still the same plant that is putting out this fruit. And so my encouragement to you is that the Lord isn't finished with you. If you're on this planet, if you're breathing, and I don't even care if you're bound in your bed because you have an illness and you can't get out of bed. You are on this planet and you are breathing, and the Lord has something for you to do. It might be maybe you're supposed to be an intercessor, and prayer is powerful. It's not just prayer. Prayer is the most powerful thing we can do for people. And I learned that through my own sickness. The Lord spoke that to my heart, and wow. So don't think that just because your capacity has changed that your ministry is over. It's not. And then the last thing, let's see if I can go find this water spigot. Okay, that's not my water spigot. I'll show you that in a minute, but these are really pretty plants. So I thought, I've been talking a lot about gardening and being in my yard, so I should show you guys these pretty plants. These little flowers are so pretty. Look at these. Oh, they're so pretty. And these just seemed like they came out of nowhere as well. We saw them out here one day. Anyways, these are some pretty plants, little pretty area that I have. Okay, so we have been observing Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. You can read about, this is not a teaching on that. I don't know enough about that. I'm still learning, but definitely I encourage you to look into that, read about it, and observe that. And also look for all the parallels of Jesus as our Passover, and so much good stuff. That's in the book of Exodus, so I encourage you to check that out. But anyways, as we have been observing that and praying and seeking the Lord and focusing on leaven in our own lives, I was working in the garden out in the yard yesterday. Actually we were cleaning around the foundation of the house. So here's the foundation right there. We're cleaning all the way around. Oh, here's some little white flowers that I haven't seen yet. Those are cute. So all the way around the foundation of the house. And we were cleaning that out, so getting all the leaves and everything out, and getting all the leaves. We were gonna spray for pests. This is that time of year, and spraying for pests and getting everything ready so that we could get those critters out of there. And it's funny because as I was just actually writing those notes down, I was just thinking like, even spraying for pests feels symbolic about the pests, right? The pesky sin that comes in our lives, whether from our flesh or outside temptations that come up. Anyway, so sin, just like our pests. But so we were cleaning all the leaves out and everything so we could spray. And as I was cleaning, it was neat too, because the Lord was just talking to my heart about, just as I'm cleaning all these leaves out, and I'm trying to get more and more out, and there's like more there. It's just like cleaning your home for leaven during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, or that week. Trying to get all of that out of there, and it's darn near impossible. And so anyways, that was a neat truth. But what happened is, when we were cleaning everything out, we found 2 new water spigots in our yard. So we have a pretty big yard, and we had this one water spigot, and it wasn't even in like the place where I was like, I don't really think this is the best place for it. Why? I couldn't figure out why did they put that over here. But I was like, okay, I'll just make the best of it and use it how I can, and trying to figure out if I could find another way to tap into some water so that I could have a hose on the other side of my yard, because I can't get a hose that's that long. Our property's a bigger piece of property than what my hose would reach. So anyways, I've been trying to figure that out and think about it. And then as I was cleaning all of that stuff out that was also symbolic of leaven to me, we found those 2 extra water spigots, and I'm so excited because they're on 2 different sides of the house. So that means for watering different things and cleaning things out, now we have those 2 places where we can connect to hose, and it's going to be so much better to be able to use those as opposed to the other one, which the other one is still of good use too. But as I was unhooking the hose from there today, I'll show you my spigot. Okay, so there's a little mess here. I cleaned up most of it, not all of it. So this bush right here, this thing was huge and overgrown. Again, like I said, we haven't lived here very long. It's starting to rain, so this will be quick. But that thing was so big, so I cut that back. We got a bunch of other stuff. There's another one of those on the other side of my yard. But this thing was taller than me, but back there behind it, you can actually see the hose thing back there. There's a spigot right there. And so as I was unhooking the hose from there, I was like reminded of, wow, because I cleaned out all of this dead leaves and shrubs and everything, and did this cleaning of also the leaven, I was able to find that place where I can connect and have access to water, just like access to living water that Jesus is for us and gives us. And it was just a really neat analogy, again, and symbolism, that cleaning out all of that icky stuff and taking that time to be purposeful about it. You know, I didn't even know that that connection to water was right there. So that's just symbolic of, as we do that in our lives, we're going to find all these other places that the Lord speaks to us and ways to connect with Him as we continue to submit our lives over to Him and clean out all those ugly parts and allow Him to clean out all those well, I don't want to say ugly, sorry, but I mean, sin is ugly, but you see what I'm saying? I'm not saying we're ugly, but our sin is ugly. So it was really exciting. And then the new things too that I'm going to be able to do now that I can connect to water on this side. So that's symbolic of the things you can do in your life when you find those other connections. Oh, I got to walk. It's raining on me. Where you can connect to the Lord and hear from Him and allow Him to work in your life. And so that was really cool. So anyways, that's it for today. And whew, the rain is cool. I hope you guys got something out of this. And I continue praying for you guys throughout the week. And also, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I'll continue praying that the Lord will speak to you guys the truths that you need to hear, because some of these are the truths that you guys need to hear. Maybe you have a friend who needs to hear this truth, or maybe the truth that I shared is actually going to spark a new truth that the Lord wants to speak to you. Just as iron sharpens iron, sometimes sharing these things, the Lord will then lay something else on your heart that's related to, or it sparks something that His Spirit wants to speak to you for yourself or for others around you, or maybe both. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great week, and may the Lord bless you and keep you and shine His face upon you.